This vitamin deficiency triggers leg muscle weakness in seniors. Are you at risk? Before we begin, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being here, for taking time not just to watch, but to take care of the body that's carried you this far. I didn't notice it at first. Who would? It's easy to write things off when you're past 60. A little fatigue here, a little tightness there. I just thought I'd slept wrong, that was all. But that morning, something was different. I was sitting at the edge of my bed, getting ready to stand. I pushed down on my knees to rise, like I always do. But this time, my legs hesitated. Not pain, not even weakness. Just a strange delay, like my muscles didn't get the message in time. It only lasted a second, but that second scared me. Still, I brushed it off, told myself it was nothing. A fluke? Maybe I needed more water or fewer late nights watching old westerns. But then it happened again. Again. A few weeks later, the stairs became my enemy. That feeling like my thighs were made of sandbags, I'd grip the handrail a little tighter each time. When I walked through the grocery store, I'd pause at the end of every aisle, pretending to check my list, but really just catching my breath. I even caught myself avoiding curbs, choosing the long way around, just to avoid stepping up. That was the moment. I realized this wasn't just age. This was something else. Something deeper, quieter, stealing my strength from the inside out. People talk about aging like it's a switch that flips one day, but it's not. It's more like a slow dimming. And your legs, they're the first to fade. The foundation goes first. And when it does, the rest starts to wobble. I wasn't ready to lose that part of myself, not yet. So I started digging, reading, asking questions. And what I found, it shocked me. It wasn't just inactivity. It was something I was missing, a vitamin. I had no idea I was running low on. You'd think your doctor would tell you something like this, that there's a vitamin your body depends on, not just for bones or energy, but for your legs, for your ability to move to stand, to stay upright without fear. But no one ever mentioned it to me. Not once I stumbled across it by accident. One night, deep into an online rabbit hole, I read a study from a university in Boston. It said that older adults with low levels of a certain vitamin were twice as likely to have poor muscle strength in their legs, not fatigue, not soreness, actual weakness. The kind that slowly chips away at your confidence until you're scared to walk across a room without holding on to something. The vitamin D. I sat there, staring at the screen. Vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. The one I thought was just for bone health. Apparently, it's a whole lot more than that. Turns out, vitamin D plays a major role in muscle function, especially in the lower body. Without it, your muscles don't contract properly. The signals from your brain to your legs, they get fuzzy. And when that happens, your reaction time slows. Your legs get heavier, weaker. You stop trusting them. You start to shuffle. I remembered the moment on the stairs, that slight hesitation. It made sense now. The scary part Nearly half of adults over 60 are deficient and don't even know it, especially if you stay indoors more, especially if you wear sunscreen, especially if you're not eating the right foods. I thought I was healthy, but I was missing something essential, and it had been draining my legs slowly for years, and I wasn't alone. It made me wonder how many people are walking around or barely walking with the same silent deficiency. The next morning, I decided to test myself. I stood in the middle of my living room. No music, no distractions, just me, the rug, and a chair nearby. In case I wobbled, I tried to lift one foot. Just one. 10 seconds. That's what the video I watched had said. If you can't balance on one leg for 10 seconds, your risk of serious falls more than doubles. I thought I'd have no problem. But by second 5, my ankle trembled. By second 7, my arms were flailing. By second 8, I had to grab the chair. I sat down, heart pounding. I wasn't steady anymore, and I hadn't even noticed. It scared me more than I wanted to admit. That kind of weakness sneaks up on you. You don't feel it when you're doing chores or walking to the kitchen. But your legs, they remember. They know when you've stopped using the stairs. They know when you sit longer than you stand. They know when something's missing in your body, even if your brain refuses to see it. I started thinking about my mom. She had been healthy too, until the day she slipped. Just one fall. Her hip never fully healed. That was the beginning of the end for her independence. And it started with the same little signs I was ignoring now. Weakness, slower steps, balance. That didn't feel right. It hit me hard. This wasn't just about muscle or aging. It was about freedom. Losing the ability to trust your own legs means losing control of your life. So I made a promise to myself. No more waiting for a scare. I was going to find out exactly how to restore what I'd lost, starting with the one nutrient my body had clearly been begging for. I booked the appointment that afternoon. Told the receptionist it wasn't urgent, but in truth it was. My pride just didn't want to show it. Dr. Martin had been my physician for years. A kind man, older than me, sharp as ever. When I told him about my balance test, the fatigue in my legs, the way stairs now felt like mountains, he didn't laugh it off. That surprised me. He looked at me quietly for a moment and then said something I'll never forget. Do you know what deficiency we see most often in people your age who suddenly feel weaker? I shook my head. Vitamin D, he said. Not because people forget to take it, but because they never knew. They were low in the first place. I was stunned. I thought vitamin D was just about bones and sunshine. Turns out, it's about muscle strength, nerve communication, even how well your brain tells your body to move. Your legs, he said, are usually the first to suffer. Before pain, before stiffness, before you even feel tired. He ordered blood work. A few days later, the results came in. I was severely deficient. Not mildly, severely. Dr. Martin explained what that meant in plain English. My body wasn't absorbing calcium properly. My muscles weren't responding the way they should. My nerves were firing slower. And that meant more stumbles, more fatigue, and a much higher risk of a life-changing fall. And here's the real kicker. I thought I was eating healthy. I had fruit. I had veggies. I even got some sun. But as he explained, after 60, your skin doesn't synthesize vitamin D the way it used to. You need more, not just from food, but from deliberate, consistent choices. I remember leaving that office holding a small paper with instructions, but it felt heavier than that. It felt like I was holding the key to getting my strength back or losing it for good. That night, I couldn't sleep, not because I was worried, but because I was wide awake with clarity. I kept thinking about all the mornings I'd made the same breakfast, toast, maybe fruit, sometimes oatmeal. I thought I was doing everything right, but I was missing the most important thing: vitamin D. You see, Dr. Martin had explained something else before I left. He said, "You can eat well, you can move, but if you're low in this one vitamin, everything slows down. Strength fades, even with exercise, especially in your legs." I never connected my morning routine to my declining strength, but now it made perfect sense. That gentle wobble I felt when stepping out of bed, that soreness that clung to my thighs after a short walk, that fear, yes, fear of missing a step and going down. It wasn't just aging. It was what I wasn't giving my body. So I made a promise, not just to take a supplement, but to rebuild my mornings around strength, around movement, around real nourishment. The very next day, I made changes. I added 2 eggs, not just for protein, but because they naturally contain vitamin D. I stood outside with my tea, letting the sunlight hit my arms for a few extra minutes. And I started adding foods that helped my body absorb the vitamin, healthy fats like avocado and nuts. It wasn't about some miracle cure. It was about consistency. Every small habit I neglected had quietly chipped away at my strength. So, I decided that every new habit, every conscious bite would build it back. And something else happened. That fog in my legs, it started to lift. The ache that showed up halfway through the day, less intense, and for the first time in months, I felt hopeful. All that from one overlooked vitamin. All that from one doctor's warning. And now, I was ready to take it further. A few days into my new routine, I noticed something strange, not dramatic, not immediate, but real. I stood up from the couch. Without bracing myself, I walked across the kitchen and didn't instinctively reach for the counter. I bent down to pick up the newspaper and didn't wince. These weren't miracles. They were messages. My body was answering me quietly, slowly, but clearly. You see, leg weakness doesn't shout. It whispers. At first, it's that pause before you stand. The need to grip a handrail where you never used to. The hesitation when stepping off a curb. We think we're just being careful. We tell ourselves it's normal. But these are early warnings. Warnings that strength is slipping away and that we can either act now or wait until the damage is too deep to undo. Looking back, the signs were there all along. I remember grocery shopping with my daughter. She walked ahead, chatting about something, and I trailed behind. My thighs were burning. My breath was shallow. And I kept pretending I was just taking my time. But I wasn't. I was struggling. Leg strength isn't just about muscles. It's about identity. When your legs weaken, the world feels further away. The stairs look steeper. The sidewalks feel uncertain. Even your home, the one you've loved for decades, starts to feel like a maze of risks. That's what no one tells you. Weak legs don't just slow your steps, they shrink your life. But that morning, standing a little taller, stepping a little steadier, I realized something profound. I wasn't stuck. I wasn't finished. My body hadn't given up. It was just waiting for me to listen. It didn't need a miracle. It needed support, the right fuel, the right habits, the awareness to recognize a whisper before it became a scream. That was the day I knew. I wasn't just avoiding weakness. I was building strength, and there was more to uncover. It wasn't long after that moment that I began diving deeper, not into exercise routines or miracle supplements, but into something simpler, something I had overlooked for years. Vitamin D. I used to think of it as the sunshine vitamin, just something people took in the winter or tossed into multivitamins. But I had no idea how critical it was, especially for people over 60. One morning, I came across a study that stopped me in my tracks. Low vitamin D levels are directly linked to muscle weakness, poor coordination, and increased fall risk. Not just in theory. In reality, I reread the sentence twice. Was it possible that this quiet deficiency, the one I hadn't even checked, was stealing the strength from my legs? I made an appointment with my doctor, got a blood test. The results, I was deficient. Severely. It was both terrifying and empowering. Because now I had a target. I had an answer, and I could do something about it. I started small, adding vitamin D-rich foods like salmon eggs and fortified milk to my meals. I stood in the morning sun for 10 minutes. I took a simple supplement every evening. And within a few weeks, something shifted. It wasn't like flipping a switch. It was like lighting a fire that had gone cold. My legs felt awake again. I could walk longer without feeling shaky. My knees didn't lock the way they used to. My steps had rhythm, not hesitation, all from a vitamin I never thought about. You know, we often think the answers to aging must be complicated, but sometimes they're quiet, modest, easily missed. Vitamin D didn't just restore strength. It restored hope, because it reminded me that even when we feel powerless, we're not. Not if we're willing to pay attention. Not if we act while we still can. Now, every time I stand up without struggle, I think of that little capsule, and I smile, because sometimes the smallest nutrients protect the biggest parts of our lives. After that, my morning routine changed. Not dramatically, just enough to matter. I started stepping outside just for 10 minutes while the coffee brewed. I'd feel the sun warm my arms, even on cooler days. I'd take a deep breath, close my eyes, and say to myself, this body still carries me, and I will carry it too. It wasn't just about vitamin D anymore. It became about respect for the body that had held me through every season of life, the legs that had danced at my wedding, run through airports to catch flights I was late for, walked miles with grandchildren on either side, one hand in each of mine, and yes, the same legs that now sometimes ached at night. But those aches no longer scared me the way they once did, because I understood them now. They weren't a sign of defeat. They were a signal, a whisper from my body saying I need more care, not less. So I gave it that care. I paid attention to what I ate. I stopped skipping protein. I took time to stretch after long walks. I stopped brushing off leg cramps as just getting old. I scheduled a regular check-in with my doctor, not because something was wrong, but because I wanted to make sure it stayed right. And you know what? My legs responded. Not by becoming what they once were, but by becoming enough. Strong enough to carry groceries, stable enough to walk unaided, flexible enough to let me kneel in the garden without fear of getting stuck there. But the biggest shift wasn't physical. It was mental. I stopped dreading the stairs. I stopped fearing the cane in the corner. I started viewing every step not as a test, but as a victory. Because I had learned something many people never do. When your body starts to whisper, listen. When your legs begin to weaken, don't surrender, strengthen. And when a quiet deficiency threatens to steal your movement, meet it with quiet action. It's not about staying young forever. It's about staying you for as long as you possibly can. So here we are. You've walked with me through the story of weakness, awareness, and renewal. And if you're still watching, I believe it's because something deep inside you is ready for change. Maybe your legs have been giving you quiet signals, fatigue. You didn't expect stairs that feel taller than they used to. 2. A sense of instability that leaves you reaching for the wall. Maybe you chalked it up to just getting older. But now you know the truth. Sometimes it's not age, it's deficiency. A silent drain on the nutrients your legs need most. Vitamin D, magnesium, potassium, protein. These aren't just nutrients on a chart. They are the fuel your body needs to keep standing, moving, and living on your own terms. And here's what I want to tell you. Before we end, it's not too late. You are not too weak. You are not too far gone. The body you have today is still worthy of investment, still capable of change, still ready to respond with strength if you give it the care it's been quietly asking for. So start small. Add that one food. Step into the sunlight. Revisit your supplements. Ask your doctor about your levels. Move your body every day, even if it's just around the living room. These aren't miracles. They're choices. And when stacked together, they rebuild the strength you thought was gone for good. Because here's what I believe. Your legs are your freedom, and you deserve to keep walking on your own terms. So tell me, in the comments, what did you learn today? Which of these steps are you ready to try? If this video helped you, please click that like button. It tells the algorithm and me that this content matters. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more life-changing health stories like this one. Every week, we're bringing you the quiet truths that could make the loudest difference. Take care of those legs. They've carried you this far, and with the right support, they'll carry you further than you think. Stay strong, stay steady, stay you.